Hello everyone, Beate here and welcome back to my channel. Today I quickly want to go over the best fabrics you can wear for winter time, fall and winter that is. And just for reference, the cities that I've lived in and where I've experienced winter, I'll pop on screen with the temperatures that I experienced during that time. I'm not really gonna talk about some of the vacations I might have been on during, other types of winters. This is really going to be my reference point when I speak about winter today. It's not the most extreme winters, and also take into consideration that I spent most of my life, I'd probably say like in a city. I am a city girl. I don't do a lot of outdoor activities, so this is going to be styling, being dressy, and looking good but yet comfortable during these temperatures. I'm going to do this video slightly different to my base fabrics for summer video, and I'm rather going to go through the layers that you have to put on and what I recommend those layers to be made out of. So depending again on how extreme the winter is, or how far you are into fall or the heaviest months of winter, you must make layering your friend. Layers are the absolute key to staying warm and comfortable in winter time. Growing up in South Africa, we definitely did not learn this the same way I feel Europeans, I suppose it's kind of ingrained. They might not even know that they dress that way, but as Europeans, I've seen with my European friends and living there as well, they understand layering extremely well. But in South Africa, you sometimes feel like you kind of look like a little, what we call an Oros man, which means like you just layer up and you look like you can't move at the end of the day, but you haven't really applied smart layering. So layering is the absolute key to staying warm and comfortable during fall and winter time. The fibers and fabrics that I like to wear will always be natural fibers, but I also appreciate man-made fibers, but specifically those derived from plants. So the ones with a cellulose type of base. So I'm not talking about polyesters, but rather something like textile or viscose. I do think synthetic fibers absolutely has got its place in winter dressing, but I'll get to that in a bit. First of all, you want to start out with a base layer, or what I call a vest. You can have this with just straps, short sleeve, or then long sleeve, and I prefer this to be made out of a knitted material instead of a woven material. And if you stretch it out, you can see fibers, or rather the threads, being looped in small circular motions similar to that of a t-shirt. But I like this base layer to be made out of either cotton if I don't want too much heat, but if I want something slightly warmer, a blend would be perfect. And that is where some of my semi-synthetics or those cellulose fibers are going to come in, and I might prefer it with a blend of something like a merino wool or a cashmere. This will keep you extremely nice and toasty, and also protect the other layers that you wear from perspiration that you have during the day. I will wash these vests probably every single day. I might skip a day if I didn't feel like I perspirated a lot that day, but a vest is absolutely key to staying comfortable and warm. The second layer is where you can become playful, and this is probably what most people will see you wearing for the majority of the hours during the day. So this is where I really enjoy things like a cashmere or merino knit in colorful colors, beautiful patterns, different weaves and so forth, in order to create that really winter essential and authentic type of look. For the middle layer, it is really important for you to have a look at the weight of the fabric. This is not something you'll necessarily find on a website or even the tag inside of a garment, but this is something that you will either have to feel with your hands physically, or you might get a feel for the heaviness of the fabric by looking at the pictures if you do online shopping. But I would really still suggest you just touching and feeling it. If you are gonna be extremely cold and it's definitely a colder climate, or you're going to be spending more hours outdoor, really the weight of the fabric you want here is going to be slightly thicker. If you are going to be working in an office where you have controlled temperature, you can still go for a light to medium weight of fabric. If you live in a very mild type of climate where the winters aren't that intense, I would really go for something like a terry, maybe something specifically made out of textile, modal, or even just a pure cotton. That will be enough warmth for you. And then finally, your third layer, that's going to be your outer layer, and that is something where you also have to think about the winters that you are going to be spending your time in. Is it going to be snowy? Is it going to be wet and rainy? Or is it going to be dry, cold temperatures? If you are working with dry, cold temperatures, you can go for beautiful long coats, shorter jackets, and you can work with basically any type of fabric. Again, blends are going to be your best friend. So for instance, if you want a wool coat, you can definitely find this second-hand or pre-loved vintage, but you don't necessarily have to go for 100% wool. If that is slightly outside of your budget, go for a wool blend. So it might be but still go for a predominantly wool, and then smaller amounts made up out of, say, polyester or viscose or something of that nature. If you can get something like a wool or cashmere to be the predominant, so 50+% of that blend, it's going to be really nice and comfortable. You're going to sit with a higher quality at the end of the day, and you're going to be able to wear that for a much longer period of time. If it's going to be rainy, a trench coat is obviously going to be your best bet. Something slightly longer to really keep the majority of your body as dry as possible, probably paired up with some longer style boots. The waxed cotton of the trench coat will simply allow the droplets of rain to fall off, and you will remain dry on the inside, and you will remove that and put that in a coat closet or somewhere you can store it while spending time within the workplace or restaurant with your base and middle layer. Let's say it's even colder, it might be raining, it might be snowing, a little bit of wet and dry conditions throughout the day. That is where synthetic fabrics will definitely come into play. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you know I'm not a crazy big supporter of synthetic fibers. I just don't like the performance of them overall. The raw materials being used to produce synthetic fibers is not my favorite. So I don't always wear synthetic things, but there's definitely a place for synthetic things, not just coats, but other things that I use, and I can make an entire video out of that. But this is where you want to have your outer layer made out of a synthetic fabric, perhaps with a filling inside. The filling can be more synthetic fibers, or my preference would be down on the inside. So the down will really almost be like a duvet, a blanket, almost like a sleeping bag, but allow you to be dry during those colder months. Your outer layer is very important when we speak about wind, that icy cold wind that can blow right through you. If you want to have an extremely solid layer to break that wind, that is again where synthetic fibers will do the job. Make sure that you have an umbrella, again made up out of a synthetic fiber, to help keep the majority of the rain off you, or choose one with a really large cap that you can throw over your head. Then just a small little tip, if you haven't thought about this, some people like wearing tights or something underneath their pants to keep them warm. I don't always like it because it just makes me feel too stuffy, and I can't really control my body temperature as well as I want to during the day. So I rather go for, of course, long pants or stockings or whatever is covering the majority of my leg, but I will pair it up with extremely long socks that reach my knees, so knee-high socks made out of a wool blend to really keep that lower part of my foot and leg extremely nice and toasty. I pull these socks even over my jeans. Even if my jeans have a little bit of volume at the bottom, it allows them to be really nice and snug around my leg, so I can fit it into almost any type of boot that I am wearing. And then if it is really very cold, you will need accessories such as a scarf, gloves, and a hat or a beanie. So this is usually made out of, again, a wool fiber. Sometimes I feel like it can be a little bit itchy on your forehead if you are wearing something made out of a wool or something with mohair in it. So look out for ones even made out of cotton if you find your skin to be very sensitive. Of course, your gloves can also be made out of leather, and that helps keep your hands dry if you are dealing with a lot of rain or then snow. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope that you have an extremely good winter, and if you would like to see more winter and fall related videos from me, I have an entire playlist on that, so have a look over there. Have a good one. Bye.